Capricorn, there are people who thought they could play with fire, but what they didn't know was that the flame would turn against them. They looked at you and saw someone quiet, steady, composed. They mistook that calmness for weakness. They believed they could strike you down and walk away untouched. But turning you into an enemy was not just a choice, it was the spark that lit their own destruction. Because when you rise, Capricorn, you rise like the mountain, slow, unstoppable, and eternal. And when you endure, your strength becomes the very storm they cannot escape. Your silence was not surrender. Your patience was not emptiness. Your endurance was not defeat. It was the shield that guarded you, while life prepared the fire of justice to burn on your behalf. Capricorn, those who targeted you will come to realize a truth they cannot heal from. The very pain they designed for you will return, and when it does, it will break them in ways no medicine, no apology, no false smile can ever repair. They believed you were easy to harm, but they didn't realize that every wound only sharpened you, every betrayal only refined you, and every plot against you only sealed their own downfall. In the comments, declare your truth. I rise above. Because even while they conspire, you are already rising higher than their reach. Stay with me until the end. What you're about to hear is not just a story of betrayal, but a revelation of power, protection, and destiny. There is a single instant that changes everything. A small crack in a quiet room that grows into a fault line. Envy does not arrive with thunder. It slides in like a cold wind under a door, soft at first, then sharp. It begins with the tiny things, a look that lingers too long, a compliment that tastes of poison, a joke that hides a blade. Those small betrayals collect like stones until one day someone throws a boulder. They began with whispers, words folded into other words, sentences that hid a second meaning. They practiced patience like a predator practicing stillness. They smiled in your face while their plans were being written in the dark. Each secret meeting, each careful omission, was a stitch in the cloth of a plan meant to unravel you. Capricorn, they chose to cross a line when they decided your fall would feed their rise. That decision was not accidental, it was deliberate. It was cold and precise, like a craftsman sharpening a tool. They believed that if they removed your light, their own light would seem brighter. They thought if they cut a branch from your tree, theirs would hold more fruit. But in making that choice, they made a mistake. They did not only attack a person, they attacked the life that moves through you. They struck at the pattern of purpose that guards your steps. When they aimed for you, they aimed at something greater than your body and name. They aimed at the quiet design that shapes your days. Every attempt against you met resistance. Their words hit a wall made of years of steady work, of small, invisible victories, of patience that looked like stillness but was actually deep preparation. It is easy to mistake a calm surface for emptiness. It is harder to see the layers below, the roots, the rock, the slow building of a life. Picture iron striking stone. For a moment, sparks fly, bright and startling, but the iron loses its edge. It chips, it burns its own hand. That is what their attacks did. They flared up in dramatic ways, hoping for quick ruin. Instead, they only revealed their own weakness. The louder their schemes, the clearer their smallness became. Their efforts echoed back to them like a voice in an empty hall. They expected noise, they expected drama. What they did not expect was the quiet that followed. Your calm was not a surrender. It was a strategy. While they built castles of gossip and rumor, you were building endurance. While they shouted accusations, you were learning which doors to close and which to leave forever open. Your silence became a kind of armor, not heavy but polished and strong. Spirit watches the choices people make. There is a balance that keeps score in ways we do not always see. When someone chooses harm, the world rearranges to hold them accountable. It does not always happen as they imagine. Sometimes the reckoning is patient, slow, almost invisible. But its effect is inevitable. The fabric of life bends back toward truth. Their own plans, seeded in anger, begin to sour. Their alliances wobble. Their small victories crumble into lessons they never wanted to learn. And there is another truth. When someone declares war on you, they also reveal themselves. Masks slip. Voices that once promised loyalty now stumble over excuses. The people who hid in shadows show their faces in the light. That revelation is painful, yes, but it is also a gift. Better to see a true face now than to keep praying to an empty idol for years. You remember every detail, even if you do not speak of it. The coldness of the room, the tone of a message, the way their laughter fell a beat later than it should. These memories are not chains. They are a map. They teach you where not to go again. They teach you who to guard against. They teach you how to listen to the small alarms of your heart. This is not about revenge. This is about knowing. It is about standing with clear eyes and a steady heart. When you respond with dignity, when you save your energy for what actually matters, you become a living correction to their mistake. They turned you into an enemy thinking it would weaken you. Instead, it set you free to walk away from what was never meant for you. So hold this moment close, Capricorn. The moment they chose war is the moment you began to see. Their plan was a test. Your endurance has been the proof. Their choice exposed their limits. Your response reveals your future. Let them have the noise. You keep the work. Let their anger flare. You keep the peace that follows. The spark they struck was meant to burn you. Instead, it lit a lantern on the path you were always meant to walk. Capricorn, sometimes the loudest response is no response at all. You did not need to raise your voice. You did not need to stand in the middle of the crowd and point fingers. Your silence was not emptiness, it was presence. It carried more weight than any argument ever could. Silence has a way of unsettling those who live in falsehood. It presses on their chest like a heavy stone. It lingers in their thoughts long after the moment has passed. When someone builds their world on lies, your quiet truth becomes the mirror they cannot bear to look into. They expected rage from you. They thought you would fight back with the same fire they used against you. They believed you would scramble to defend your name. But instead, you chose calm. You chose to walk in peace while they remained trapped in chaos. And now your silence follows them everywhere. It echoes in their private thoughts. It whispers in their quiet hours. It returns to them in the middle of the night, when sleep should bring rest, but instead brings shadows of regret. Capricorn, this is why their hearts are restless. They cannot escape the truth that your calm has revealed. It is not you who is haunted, it is them. Every quiet step you take forward becomes a sound in their conscience that grows louder and louder. Your silence was not weakness. It was a choice, a shield, a force stronger than retaliation. And in that silence, you showed them something they cannot heal from. That the real wound was never yours, it was theirs all along. There is a rhythm in the world that does not answer to human plans. It moves like the tide, patient, inevitable, and honest. When you push against it, it does not fight back with noise. It responds with balance. What you send out into that rhythm finds its way back. That is the law that holds the sky and the soil together. Picture a small stone thrown into a still pool. The splash is quick, flashy, and soon forgotten by the careless hand that tossed it. But the ripples do not vanish. They travel outward, bending the surface, returning to touch the place where the stone began. In life, every harsh word, every secret wound, every deliberate injustice is a stone. It makes a sound, and then it makes a pattern. The pattern always finds its shape again. Those who aimed to break you thought time would erase the truth. They expected quick results, fast gains, small victories, a life cleared of competition. Instead, they planted actions that carry their own memory. Harming another is like planting a tree of bitter fruit. It will take root and grow. The shade it casts will one day fall on the planter. This is not a punishment from a cruel world. It is the world simply doing what it always does, restoring balance. Capricorn, you have lived by steady rules, work, silence, and honor. You did not ask for justice in loud voices. You asked only to be allowed the slow work of becoming. When others tried to steal your place, they disturbed a current you were part of. The universe does not lose what it has intended. It reweaves, it redirects, and slowly, almost secretly, it returns what was taken in a shape the thief cannot control. Think of a potter at the wheel. He presses and shapes clay with careful hands. If someone reaches and gouges the side, the form shifts. The potter's skill does not disappear. He adjusts, remolds, and in the end, the clay finds a new shape, often stronger for the change. Those who gouged you did not realize they were giving the potter work to do. Their harm invited a correction. The correction is not always the kind they imagined. Sometimes it comes as small discomforts that compound. Sometimes as opportunities that refuse to arrive when expected. Sometimes as relationships that crack under their own weight. In every case, the pattern circles back. There is a quiet intelligence in this returning. It is not loud revenge, it is a steady accounting. A ledger of choices is kept in the fabric of life. The accounts are settled, not in a single dramatic moment, but in a series of tilts and turns that rearrange a person's world. Their plans, once reliable to them, begin to wobble. Allies that once stood firm show hairline fractures. Doors that opened with ease now remain closed. The things they thought secure reveal soft edges. Each small loss is a little echo of the original harm they caused. Do not mistake this for celebration of others' pain. It is simply the way truth reasserts itself. Your light, the honest work, the quiet courage, the habitual integrity, cannot be dimmed by another's secret plots. Light has a stubbornness, it finds cracks, it passes through, and it eventually shapes the room. Their attempts to bury your brightness only make the contrast sharper. When their schemes return as difficulties they did not foresee, it is a clear sign. The world has corrected the imbalance they tried to create. Notice how timing matters. The law of return does not race. It moves with seasons. Sometimes the consequence arrives in a whisper years later. Other times it is immediate, a small misstep that could have been avoided had they kept a different heart. Because of this, they are often bewildered, wondering why life that once favored them now sighs with difficulty. Bewilderment becomes a long companion to guilt. And guilt is a weather that stains everything it touches. Capricorn, remember, your story is part of a larger pattern. When someone becomes your enemy, they are not only testing you, they are testing the balance that holds your life together. Their choice to harm you sets events into motion that will not stop until the balance is restored. You do not need to chase the return. Your task is the higher work. To keep building, keep tending your inner world, and keep living with honor. The universe will do its part, so let them carry the weight of their own making. Let them taste the discomfort of seeds they planted in haste. You, meanwhile, continue as you always do. A quiet force, a steady presence, a life that bends toward truth. When the law of return shows what was left out of line, it will do so with the gentle firmness of a teacher correcting a student. Their realization will be heavy, it will be real, and it will be something they cannot unlearn. Hold this in your chest. Justice is not always dramatic, but it is sure. The fabric of life does not allow a permanent distortion. What was sent out in hurt will circle back to its source. Their own enemy was never you alone. It was the shadow they chose to carry. Capricorn. The reason their betrayal cut so deep is because it was built on a false belief. They looked at your soft words and believed you were fragile. They saw your patience and thought it was surrender. They noticed your kindness and mistook it for weakness. But what they could not see is that your strength has never been loud. It has never needed to shout to be real. It has always lived quietly, working beneath the surface, like roots that hold an ancient tree steady through every storm. You are the mountain that stands unmoved when the winds rage and the rains fall. Others may stumble, but you remain firm, because your strength is not temporary, it is carved into your being. You are the river that never stops moving, shaping stone over time, proving that steady persistence is stronger than sudden force. You are the storm that appears without warning, powerful enough to shift the ground, unstoppable once it begins. By making you an enemy, they set themselves against this kind of strength, a strength born from hardship, from endurance, from scars that taught you how to rise again. Every battle you've survived has built a resilience they cannot break, no matter how hard they try. They underestimated you, Capricorn, and that is the mistake they will never be able to take back. Capricorn, envy is a fire that no one can control. It does not stop with one spark. It spreads inside the one who carries it. The ones who envied you believed they could direct that fire toward your life, hoping it would consume your blessings and reduce your peace to ashes. But what they did not understand is that envy does not stay still. It always turns back to destroy the very person who feeds it. Now they sit with restless eyes, watching as your path continues to unfold. They see doors opening for you, doors they once tried to slam shut with lies, with schemes, with whispers meant to weaken your name. They see peace resting on your shoulders, while their own hearts are heavy with storms they cannot quiet. And that sight burns them more deeply than anything else. It does not hurt them because you failed. It hurts them because you refused to fail. It does not wound them because you broke. It wounds them because you stayed unbroken, unshaken, and stronger than before. Every time they look at you, they are reminded of the truth. Turning you into an enemy did not harm you, it harmed them. Their envy has become their prison. Their bitterness has become their chain. And that wound, Capricorn, is one they will never heal from. Capricorn, quiet protection has been walking beside you all along. You may not see every hand that gently guides you, but you have felt the small mercies, the close calls that never turned into disasters, the opportunities that arrived just in time, the people who appeared when you needed them most. Those are not accidents. There were traps laid in corners you never entered. Plans were set in motion that should have reached you but somehow missed. Words were thrown like knives meant to cut, but they bounced off the invisible armor around you. This shield is not always dramatic. It is not a constant thunder. It works in small ways. A sudden change of route, a forgotten meeting that saved you, a closed door that revealed a better one. Sometimes protection looks like simple redirection. You think something was taken from you, only for life to steer you toward something wiser. Sometimes it is timing. You were held a little longer so that a better moment could arrive. These adjustments feel subtle, but they are powerful. They keep you from fights you do not need and lead you to growth you do. Those who plotted against you are confused because their plans fail in ways that make no sense to them. They expected a straight path and instead found their own steps stumble. Why? Because you were never moving alone. Something greater than gossip and scheming watches the path of the humble worker. Each time their plan collapses, remember, it was not luck, it was protection. This guarding is not punishment for them. It is mercy for you. It is the quiet design that keeps your purpose intact. The hand that pulls you away from harm also holds open doors that only you can pass through. It keeps your spirit whole, even when people try to break it. You have learned to listen to signs, the small warnings your heart gives, the nudges that feel like hesitation. Those feelings are not weakness. They are the language of protection. When you pause instead of rushing forward, you are often following an unseen guidance that keeps you safe. Trust those pauses. Trust the gentle stops and the tiny detours. Capricorn, they did not simply attack a person. They tried to unravel a path that is watched over. And when their plans hit the protection around you, they found themselves facing an order they cannot read. Their frustration grows because they do not understand the quiet forces at work. They only know that their effort did not bring the result they wanted. Hold this truth close. Protection walks with the steady, the honest, and the patient. It answers the prayers you did not know how to say. It repairs what was almost broken. It hides you from arrows meant for your life. Keep living with integrity. Keep tending your work. Keep making the slow choices that build a life. Their schemes may rage for a while. Let them burn out against the shield you wear. In time, the smoke will clear, and their efforts will look like nothing more than lessons they could not learn. You, however, will remain whole and moving forward, guided by a protection deeper than their understanding. Capricorn, The time always comes when truth refuses to stay hidden. The masks that once looked convincing begin to slip. Smiles that once seemed warm now reveal the coldness beneath. Words that once carried comfort now sound empty, because the heart behind them was never genuine. And now, you are seeing it clearly. The people you thought were for you, the ones you believed stood beside you, have shown their true colors. It hurts, yes. It stings to realize that what you gave in trust was not returned with honesty. But this pain has meaning. This disappointment is not wasted. It is the very key that sets you free. Their betrayal has become your revelation. What they tried to use to destroy you has instead opened your eyes. The attack you endured became an awakening, showing you who was pretending and who was real. This unveiling is not cruelty from life, it is a blessing disguised as loss. For how else would you know who deserves your loyalty unless betrayal cut away the false? Now you walk differently. Now you see with sharper vision. You no longer give your trust too freely. You no longer mistake loud promises for quiet faithfulness. Capricorn, their greatest mistake was not only in making you their enemy. Their greatest mistake was revealing who they truly are. And once truth has been revealed, it cannot be hidden again. The image they once held in your heart has shattered, and though it pains you, it has freed you. Because now you know. And knowing is power. Their masks are gone, but your clarity remains. Capricorn, listen closely. Victory for you is quiet, steady, and undeniable. It is not found in loud arguments or petty payback. It grows like a harvest that comes because you tended the field while others talked. Your triumph is the slow unfolding of something you built with patient hands. Imagine a seed planted in winter. While others mocked the cold and hurried toward quick results, you kept working the soil. Rain came, frost came. Each challenge only made the seed's roots hold tighter. Then spring arrived, not with a show, but with a quiet green that spreads until the field is full. That green is your victory. It is the proof careful work always bears fruit. Every step you take forward now is a lesson to those who opposed you. It teaches them that damage cannot stick to what is well made. When you rise, you do not shout it from rooftops. You let your life show the change. A new door opens. A steady paycheck arrives. A kind word turns into an honest friend. Little by little, your life becomes the answer to the questions they asked in secret. Your progress wounds their pride because it reveals their mistake. They tried to break what was not meant to be broken. They wanted you to stumble so they could stand on your ruins. But you kept walking. Each calm choice, each focused hour, each refusal to be dragged into drama becomes a small victory that, when counted, becomes a whole life restored and growing. Think of a mirror left in sunlight. At first, it only reflects a small patch of brightness. But as the day moves, the light grows and the reflection spreads. Their fear and regret are reflected back at them through your success. Your smile, your peace, your steady work. All these are reflections they did not expect to see. That reflection will not erase their choices, but it will remind them every time they look of what they lost by acting in haste and cruelty. You do not need to prove anything to anyone but yourself and the life you are building. Victory is the small, steady things. Waking up with purpose, finishing the work you started, keeping your word when it costs you. These acts look ordinary to the world, but to the soul they are revolutionary. They show that you chose growth over grief, that you picked forward motion rather than being stuck in bitterness. There will be moments when their anger becomes loud again. There will be times when their words try to rewind the story. Do not be surprised. People who refuse to heal will keep trying to hurt. But your response is simple. Keep moving. Let your days be filled with the work that matters. Let your energy be spent on building, not on defending. When you choose this, every achievement you notch becomes a quiet bell of truth that rings in places they cannot fix. Your success will be the hardest thing for them to accept because it proves a painful thing, that their chosen path led to loss, not gain. They planted hostility and expected victory. Instead, they harvested regret. Watching you thrive will feel to them like a wound that will not close because it is a living reminder of their bad choice. So keep tending your life with humility and courage. Celebrate the small wins, a calm morning, a steady paycheck, a friendship that holds. These are the true trophies. They do not vanish when storms come, they grow stronger. Your victory will not shout, it will arrive like dawn, inevitable, gentle, and impossible to deny. Remember this, the most powerful answer is the one that cannot be taken away. Build that answer, live it. Let your daily progress be the quiet testimony they cannot erase. Your rising is their unhealable truth. So, Capricorn, lift your head. Let the weight that others tried to put on your shoulders slide away. Breathe deeply, because the air around you is not heavy with loss, it is filled with new beginnings. This is not the end of your story. This is the rise. You are the mountain, unmoved by storms, unshaken by winds, unbroken by the force of envy. Your strength is not loud, but it is undeniable. Your life is the testimony that betrayal cannot silence. Your peace is the evidence that hatred cannot destroy. And your very existence is the living proof that targeting you was the greatest mistake they ever made. Do not waste your energy chasing revenge. Revenge burns quickly and leaves only ashes behind. Do not let anger live rent-free in your heart, for anger only drains what you need to build. Your greatest answer is not in shouting, but in rising higher. Your greatest revenge is not in striking back, but in walking forward untouched. Capricorn, write these words once more in the comments. I rise above. Let it be more than a phrase. Let it be your declaration. Let it stand as your shield when lies are spoken, your anchor when storms come, your song when silence surrounds you. And as you continue to rise, remember this truth. Those who made you their enemy cannot run from the pain of their choice. Their regret will be their shadow, following them wherever they go. But you, Capricorn, you are walking into joy that cannot be stolen, into freedom that cannot be caged, into destiny that cannot be denied. Every step you take from this moment is a step into a brighter space. Every door that opens before you is one they tried to close but could not. Every blessing that finds you is proof that no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. If this message has touched your spirit, stay connected. Subscribe, because there are more revelations, more truths, more guidance waiting for you. Capricorn, this is your time. This is your season. This is your rise. Rise like the mountain that cannot be moved. Rise like the river that carves its way no matter the obstacle. Rise like the light that always returns after the longest night. Capricorn, rise.